Broadcasting from the financial capital of the world, this is NBRFM, New York City.
Welcome back to the show. My next guest is based in Thoroughfare, New Jersey. She's the president and CEO of ARTA Consulting. Please welcome to the show, Eileen Jason. Hello, Eileen.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
All right, that's what I like to hear. I appreciate your time. Just start out by telling us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. So I started my company several years ago, ARTA Consulting, and I established it with the intent of helping business and organizations improve their employee morale, communication, and focus on successful team building. I actually started the company because I, too, experienced 20-plus years in corporate America, having witnessed a seismic shift in what was happening in the industry and corporations, particularly after the financial crisis. So I thought, after I finished with my PhD in organizational psychology, and also with some nudging from the universe, actually thought it would be a good approach for me to get started and help with behaviors in organizations and to help employees and companies prosper, improve bottom line, working with behaviors, and working with folks individually as well as with groups and particularly executives.
Okay, understood.
Including executive conflict resolution, leadership development.
Yeah, that's so funny. That was actually my next question. I was going to say, what are the reasons that people come to you for your help?
Well, I'm actually working right now doing a lot of emotional intelligence. I don't know if you've heard of the term or not. I'm combining actually for 2019 for my business working with behavioral assessments as well as emotional intelligence assessments and combining the two, and it's just really taken off. People find that, my perfect client, I say I just got back from Utah from working with a client and who understands and appreciates the need for and the importance of communicating effectively and utilizing emotional intelligence, in particular self-awareness, empathy, motivation, motivating oneself to not only benefit themselves but to benefit the organization and ultimately resulting in improvement to the bottom line. So, yeah, doing a lot of work with emotional intelligence and behavioral assessments.
All right, so tell us about your background. Why is this what you do?
So this is what I do. I feel it was more of a calling than an inspiration. I worked in corporate America for over 20 plus years now, giving away my age, but I had an undergraduate degree in computer science, MBA in technology management, worked left side of my brain for years and years, and was a project manager as well, but was always interested in people and how people work together, how they interact with each other. And so I knew I was going to pursue the PhD. Didn't want to do clinical at the time, and found a program that fit perfectly into what I was doing as a result of being in corporate America for all of those years. So I found organizational psychology, and really it's sort of the study of behaviors of people within companies. And I also do individual consultations as well. But it's exactly what I love to do. I love finding out how people tick, what makes them tick, how to work more effectively with others, and particularly in today's environment with everything that's going on, from a political perspective as well as, organizational perspective. I just find that once people understand and work better together, and understand how to work more effectively with each other, it just becomes a better working environment. And my journey through life has taken me through quite different things. I'm also a grief counselor as well. Have had many deaths, unfortunately, throughout my lifetime, and one most recently being from my husband who passed 6 years ago, who ultimately sort of, I think, talking about the universe nudging me a little bit to pursue this and sort of realizing life is too short, go after and do what it is that you love to do. And this is, in fact, what I love to do, working with people and helping them on their journey.
Okay, understood. So what was the education experience like for you, getting to where you are? And what advice would you give to somebody who was considering getting into the...
organizational psychology, I say, the PhD, I joke about it. I'm so appreciative of having gone through it. I don't know that I would recommend it in that it's very grueling, particularly if you've got some life events going on. But certainly if it's something that you want to pursue. It was always, as a little girl, I realized I loved education, loved going to school, and I always knew that I was going to get there at some point. But certainly, if you want to pursue that avenue, by all means, go ahead. Just realize it's a lot of work. But I happened to work to be in a position where I worked around a lot of people and managed a lot of groups and projects. And so for me, psychology was extremely important, and I was always fascinated, with the workings of others and, how to get them sort of to work together. And, sort of as I mentioned earlier, what kind of makes them tick. So organizational psychology was sort of the right fit for me at the right time. And again, as I mentioned earlier, because I was working in an organization or working in organizations for over 20 years, I sort of have that background of what it's like in the corporate world. And again, as I mentioned, I just feel that sometimes the employee gets lost a little bit in, particularly as I mentioned earlier, the environment. Companies are very quick to judge what they need from a monetary perspective. What's the bottom line? Cutting people through the last several years, we've had that, and that's not always the answer. You look at some of the big companies that are very, very successful, and you find that really the more that they understand their employees and really appreciate them and show their appreciation, ultimately works for the benefit of the company. So, I set out a goal to hopefully help people recognize that, and as I mentioned earlier, my perfect client is one that actually realizes that, and usually those are the clients that do well and prosper because they recognize that they're important. Their employees are the most important aspect of their company. Not saying that clients and customers aren't, but certainly if your employees are happy and they're motivated, and I'm working also with millennials and now Gen Z, how do we get those folks motivated and keep them retained within the company? That's becoming all the more important. We've got different working environments than we did 20 years ago. The people today are coming up into the organizations. They want to work differently. They have different interests. They have different beliefs, and things are changing. So, we've got to make sure that we encourage that openness within companies and make sure that everyone is all inclusive. And I know I've heard this, and I continue to hear it. The millennials always get a bad rap, but in fact, I've worked with them. And I think they're some of the smartest people that we have. They just work differently than, let's say, people of, my generation. So everybody, once we can understand how everybody works together and to do that more effectively, it, again, will only benefit the company.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, Eileen, how can people get in contact with you if anybody wants more information?
Sure. So you can either email me. It's Eileen Jason at ARTA Consulting, ARTA Consulting.com. Feel free to call me at area code 856-506-5159. Or feel free to check my website out, www.artaconsulting.com.
All right, perfect. Eileen, thanks for coming on the show today. Great job.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Take care.